Okay, so S tier are going to be your top gods. Probably ban them, get rid of them gods. A tier is going to be the gods that are going to get through and are like the picks because they're going to get through picks and bans. B are going to be extremely average. C are going to be probably playing for fun, and Rip are going to be dog shit, probably don't play. There aren't that many gods, so it's very easy. I'm going to jump around and just like go all the way through the tiers. Bacchus is S tier. He's scaling off of defense, and the amount of scaling he's getting on his abilities off of defense is making him extremely OP. He can pretty much be played in every single role. You could argue ADC is a role he wouldn't be played in, but every other role he can be played in. He's the best god in the game. I think by a fair amount, but not enough that he's the only one you would ban. Like, there's other gods to worry about, and other gods you're gonna have to deal with pretty consistently. Susano, his base damage plus his scaling are way too high for AoE damage. He's probably the best solo laner. He's the best jungler. You can play him in mid as well, and it's not trolling. And it's just because he has 4 AoE abilities. His passive is insane for his auto attack canceling, and then his numbers are high. Like, if you look at his abilities, all of his abilities do more AoE damage, so more damage in a circle or a cone or whatever, than Loki's single target. It doesn't make any sense. So that's why Susano is here. Soul would be my other one that I would put into S tier. You run crit Soul, you don't run any other version of Soul. She's got immunity. She can run Aegis because she doesn't need beads because of her immunity. So she's got basically like 6 seconds of not being able to be killed. Her sustain is crazy, her attack speed from her passive is crazy, and her scaling on crits is insane because of her passive. So she's just playing as a hunter and building like a hunter and doing more damage than everybody else. She can solo all the objectives she can like 5-6 minutes. She can solo fire when it spawns. It's pretty stupid in my opinion. So those are my S tier. Pick ban, top pick ban, whatever, play every game. Next tier, Neith is almost in that pick ban area. I wouldn't ban her. I would probably want her in mid every single game. Her and one other mage. She's insanely good. Her ult hits for over 1,000. People aren't eating it. Her base damage is crazy. Her synergy and her kit between her 2 and her 1 are now good because the 2 is what's going to pop or spawn the weave. The 1 is going to blow it up. So you don't have to backflip to spawn a weave to get more AoE burst and everything else. Neith is in a very good spot. Probably the best mid, in my opinion. Arguable with Hecate would be my other A tier. Hecate just does mass amounts of AoE damage. The lanes of the jungler are so small that all of Hecate's abilities hit multiple people in teamfights. And it's very hard to avoid. It's very easy to play. Just make sure you're not in a position. Her laning phase is pretty slow early and boring, essentially, because she doesn't have a great early game, but that doesn't matter because you have a small lane and you just kind of sit there farming. Next on that, I'd say Jingwei. Jingwei is another one where some people think she's OP. I think she's very good. They made her way too stupid, but she doesn't compete with Soul. Soul is just better than Jingwei when played correctly. Jingwei is safe. They made her ult better. They made her 2 better. It doesn't really matter because then that other hunter you're competing against, the Soul, is just not as good. But outside of that, Jingwei is the next best thing and what you would play pretty much every game, assuming she's not banned. I'd say you would argue Loki would be A tier for junglers because you pretty much are playing Susano or Loki most games in the jungle as damage dealers. Kind of depends. Loki's definitely not as good as Susano. Like I said, Susano's AoE damage is more than Loki's single target. However, Loki's re-stealth on his 1 after getting a kill allows him to actually play a team fight like a real assassin, and it's really, really strong. His ult is still extremely good. You're one-tapping, you're one-comboing. People aren't using beads on your ult. They're usually not even heavy beads. Loki's not S. Loki's nowhere near S. If you just look at damage numbers, you would know Loki's not S. Loki's actually not the worst. Like, you can deal with a Loki. Loki's gonna have combat blink. He's not gonna have beads. So your Ymirs, your Ares, your Bacchus, anything with that heart, your Fenrirs are going to do well when their one goal is to shut down a Loki. Where, like, if someone tries to shut down Bacchus on or a Soul, they're not going to. It's just not going to be possible. So I would put Fenrir in A tier as a support. So for the rest of the roles, I talked about Bacchus, Susano roles, Soul ADC. You could play mid, Neith mid only, Hecate mid only, Jingwei ADC only, Loki jungle only. Fenrir would be support and jungle. I'd put him in A. And it's, once again, the beads aspect. Beads is on a long cooldown if you even go it. Most people aren't going it. So Fenrir's ult is way more valuable in Smite 2 than it ever was in Smite 1. Period. That's it. That's all we need to know. That's why Fenrir is here. Realistically, as a jungler, you also do a good amount of damage when you're building correctly. And then the other one would be Ymir, would be A tier for me, because of the same exact concept for Fenrir's ult, except for it's Ymir's stun. Ymir's 10,000 times better than he ever was in Smite 1. His ultimate, you can combat blink in it and you can use the boar in it, so it's guaranteed for you to hit it if you want to go like a damage or hybrid build. So you play him in solo or you play him in jungle, whatever. And then as a support, he has his long ass stun. His stun, people are not going to beads it. You have your wall, which is very good against almost every god that's currently being played. His wall shuts down everybody. We also talked about the smaller laning phases, or not smaller laning phases, the smaller lanes. Their thickness is not there. The jungle lanes and path through the jungle is very small. Ymir has a lot of good wall positionings to just kind of shut down team fights and win the game for him. So that would be all of my A tier. Trying to double check. Yeah, that'd be all my A tier, where I said like these are the gods you want to be focusing on playing. B tier is going to be your average gods. They can be played. They're not terrible. They're not great. So I would put Ares in this position as a support, maybe solo, but probably not. I would put Chalk as a solo in this position. I would put Odin as a support or a solo in this position. I would put the Morrigan in mid as that position, maybe support too. I've seen her play support and actually be really, really good because of the pressure she creates in lane. It's a weird time because there's so few gods that's likely, not a troll for the current, situation. I don't know if I'd put Athena in B or C, dude. I'm very in between. I'm not sold on Athena for B tier yet. I would put Honor here. He's a very average hunter. Crit build is still really good on him. I kind of like him ability build in the jungle, and I would put him in this tier in that position as well, especially since a lot of junglers are banned most of the time. I would put Kukulkan in this position too. He does a lot more than he was doing on early PTS. I don't think he's quite Kukulkan from Smite 1, but he's almost there. He's also safer with his dash out of his 2 and his 3. So CERN, I would also put here. CERN burst build, mage build. The 2 ult can one-shot. It's also really easy to avoid if you're paying attention to it. So that's why CERN isn't higher. And then we're going to go a step down from here. I would put Athena in like that below average tier. You're playing it because everything else is taken. I would put Thanatos in that tier. And Mordred, I'm not sold because it's his build. His kit is bad as a damage. You're not running auto attack Mordred. You're not running ability based damage Mordred. He's not built damage. He sucks. He would be in RIP if you were building him damage. As a tanky, like basically full tank with, I don't know, like Tekko Kage first item, I think you can run him tank auto attack or tank ability and still be very, very good, but I haven't played it enough to put him in B. If I'm right, I'd put him in B. If I'm wrong, I'd leave him in C. So he's in between. And then we get down into RIP tier, and it's literally all of these gods. Anubis, anywhere. Bellona, anywhere. Hades, anywhere. Zeus, anywhere. You could maybe argue Zeus ADC as crit, but that's it, and you're going to die a lot. Bellona, if you get full build with the one-shot build where you're going full strength into the avatar, you can one-shot somebody, but that you're terrible throughout the whole game until you get to late game. Hades, maybe you play him in solo, but he's weak. He's just not good in solo. He doesn't have lane pressure, and lane pressure is pretty king right now, and it's probably going to stay that way because Smite 1 was like that forever. And then Anubis just isn't doing Anubis damage. Both, it's kind of similar to maybe not quite Zeus if you were running mage, because Zeus can't clear. Anubis can clear and create some kind of lane control, but Anubis just doesn't do enough damage to matter. If people are building Aegis and you're playing, like, Anubis is just not going to kill. It's just not going to happen. Like, Anubis isn't one-shotting in a stun combo like he was in Smite 1. They probably are going to have to really tweak numbers on a lot of these gods to get them all to be good or very good. This is mainly for high-level play. This is just the game. This isn't high. This is the game. Like, if you're trying to smite right now, these are the characters that you should be playing for sure. Playing these, I wouldn't say you're trolling. And then when you get down into like C and RIP, I think you're not necessarily trolling because there aren't that many gods, but you're not helping yourself. If you're being invaded as a solo laner, start Hog, or Arc, Sundering Arc. You should be starting that as a solo support. And don't get out secured. So your problem is you said you have a fire lifesteal build and a great Zeus build where you outsmart people with Zeus. You aren't outsmarting anybody, you're playing bad players. There's a significant difference because there's no smart players playing at low brackets. Typhons is a terrible item. Soul Gem is a terrible item. So 2 of the main lifesteal items are literally terrible. The 3rd lifesteal item is Book, which is good for survivability, but not good for damage. So lifesteal builds on Anubis don't work. Plus, if somebody goes Brawler's Beatstick or goes, I forget the anti-heal physical item or defense item, if they go that, your build is countered. Like, you've committed 3 terrible items into having some lifesteal, and then they're just countered by 1 item. Anubis is broken in Smite 1 right now. I don't know about that. I'd say if someone said he's bad in Smite 1, I would agree that they're kind of trolling. Anubis has a crazy amount of pressure in Smite 1. He does a lot of damage. He lacks that damage in Smite 2, and then doesn't make up for it in any other way, for sure. And then you said Zeus. Zeus can't clear. Zeus can't play any lane outside of ADC, and you have to be carried by your support. So if your support isn't creating the pressure for you to clear, you literally just sit there and die. You have no clearing tool in your kit. With a crit build, you can 1v1 kind of trade and play that ADC role. It's not as easy as doing it on Jingwei or Sol or even on her, but it's possible. I think Susano's the #1 solo. Outside of that, I'd say, sorry, Bacchus is the #1 solo. If Bacchus is banned, Susano's the #1 solo. Once we get out of the gods that you're probably banning, the S tier, I think Ymir is a good solo. I think Chalk is a playable solo. I think Odin is playable. It's about pressure, so you need to know your matchups. Every lane is about pressure right now because there's so much farm on the map where if you don't have pressure, you won't control that farm and you'll lose the game. It's trolling people are constantly banning Jingwei and not Sol. I think people are overvaluing Jingwei. I think she's good, but I don't think she's OP.
I think because day 1, Jingwei was just running the queues.
Yes.
Because everyone thought she was broken. Why do you hate Ares so much? Like, not hate him, but like...
I don't think he's that good. I just don't. I think if you are playing against real gods, so if say you're Ares and you're playing against Bacchus, Odin, or Ymir, you're CC. Like, anytime you go to chain somebody, you're canceled out. Your 3 is getting canceled every time, right? Like, your combo. And then everyone's going to build beads item first, where you're not going to land your ult every time. And that's assuming they only have that. If they have other beads, CC immunities on their, kits, which most gods have a lot. There's a lot of CC immunity in the game. Who are you pulling? Like, you're just not... Like, if you're playing against the top gods, you're not doing anything. Like, look, like, out of the top gods, your best matchup would be Sol or Susano, who you could shut down, but Susano's not going to be anywhere near you. Susano's going to be diving the backline, right? So, scratch that. Then we go towards a backline people you're going to want to kill. Ares is going to want to go on Neath. Neath's going to have beads, or you're going to, each other shit. Ymir has CC immunity, Fenrir has CC immunity, Loki has CC immunity, Jingwei has CC immunity. I think Hecate has CC immunity on her ult, but if I'm wrong, she still has a port she gets set up for herself, so it doesn't fucking matter. Then we go down to the B tier. You're not going to go on Odin because Odin's going to be tanky. He's not going to give a fuck about being pulled. Chalk has CC immunity. Morgan has CC immunity. Honor has CC immunity. Kukulkan is you are actually good against Kukulkan, but nobody's playing Kukulkan. And then you are actually good against CERN, but nobody's playing CERN. Like, really, out of the gods that are being played, you just don't do anything. That's kind of my issue with Ares, where I don't think he's bad. I think in a competitive setting, he's probably better where, you burn beads on somebody with like a Fenrir ult and then you just go right back at him with Ares ult.